Hi, my name is Kathleen May, and I'm part of the District Behavior Support Team. And welcome to Social Emotional Learning, which we call SEL, Self-Regulation and Self-Management. Well, you'll learn that all of these words are kind of intertwined, so they do overlap a lot, and they're interchangeable. So we'll go over what they mean and then some strategies for them. What is social emotional learning? So according to CASEL, which is the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, social and emotional learning, which we call SEL, is the process through which children and adults acquire and effectively apply the knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary to understand and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, and establish and maintain positive relationships and make responsible decisions. So all of these areas where you'll see it lit up in either blue or green or red, whatever it might be on this one, or I think it's like a grayish. There's a video in there for you to watch. So there's a short video in there. CASEL will explain exactly what social emotional learning is. I believe the video is also a little later in this PowerPoint presentation. So you will have the PowerPoint alongside with this video. You can get into these links on the PowerPoint presentation. Educators and community agencies serve students with different motivation for engaging in learning, behaving positively, and performing academically. So social and emotional learning, SEL, provides a foundation for safe and positive learning and enhances students' ability to succeed in school, careers, and life. Now, before I move on and talk about the different things when it comes to social and emotional learning, the first thing that you have to remember, or everybody should be working towards when students are in their classroom, is the whole rounded student. So when we're in schools or our programs, we focus on academics a lot. And, you know, in order for us to learn, our emotional self, our social and emotional self has to be developed, and also has to continue to develop throughout our learning environment. If we don't have good connections with the human beings around us, and we don't have connectivity with others, we are not going to be in a safe space to learn. So the first thing I suggest is, if you have a student who's really, really challenging you with their behavior, that there's some sort of a connection issue. There's a relationship issue going on there first and foremost. And then there might be some self-regulation issues, and there might be some sort of academic issues, and there might be some sort of other kinds of issues. But a relationship issue is a problem first. And I'm not saying that it's necessarily, you might have a good rapport with a student who's still behaving inappropriately at times. But for the most part, I know for when we come in as a district behavior support team, and we have a student who's having a lot of behavioral issues, we are dealing with a huge disconnect between the other students in the classroom and the teacher in the classroom, or the providers in the classroom for this student. And it just kind of naturally happens, if a student's having a hard time, that there might be a pull in relationship connection and the connectivity. So that needs to be really worked on first. And we also have to think about, how can we teach all of the children that we're working with this social and emotional learning? How can we encompass it into our classrooms? Think about our society right now, and how things are for these young ones growing up, and for our now coming into teenagers. They have had quite a different life in terms of these electronics. They've been immersed in electronics from babies, most of them, and they they get instant gratification all the time, and they don't have to wait for things, and they don't have to argue with the device or problem solve with the device. They have a different look, and they're not outside playing all the time and coming up with these problem solvings in groups and learning from all the other kids all the time. So we do have to learn and teach these things within our programs. So it's going to be very important for us to put the social emotional learning in play. So I mentioned Castle. Castle does a lot of different videos for training. And I've included 7 of their trainings here. There's 8 in total. The first one was on the first video, so please look at that. They are going to just explain what social emotional learning is, SEL. And then they're going to address in this slide, we're going to look at, you're going to look at, I can't look at it with you, self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, social awareness, future self, social emotional learning for parents, and then there's one in Spanish if you wanted to share that with your families. And then for more information, there's plenty more information on social emotional learning and ideas in the classroom on the Castle website. So please take some time on the PowerPoint presentation to look at these things. So when we think about social emotional learning for students in the classroom, the things that I think about, it just keeps coming to my mind is just how do they manage themselves? How do they self-regulate? And, when us as district behavior support team, we come in and we're like, hey, do you have a break area for the students? And sometimes people get annoyed with us, but I believe, and lots of people believe, that every classroom should have a calming space, an area where all students, not just the kids that are having disruptive behaviors, but all children have a place where they could go to self-regulate, because all of us have difficulty at particular times when we're triggered on how to calm down or how to self-regulate or how to self-manage ourselves. So we definitely want to create a calming space. And there's some information a little further in this PowerPoint presentation on calming corners and some studies, things like that about that. But we always want to start with a break card or talking about breaks. So most of the time when students are displaying unexpected behaviors or inappropriate behaviors, it's usually due to frustration or anxiety. Something's going on for them, whether it's having difficulty with academics or having difficulty with regulating themselves when they're frustrated. Maybe they're perfectionists and they need, they can't stand making an error, or they can't handle making an error, or they can't wait and delay gratification. And that's really, really super hard for them. And they start to melt down and break down there. Well, we have to teach these students how to go about getting more of that grit, more of that that regulation, more of that resilience training. And it all starts out with being able to take a break when we're frustrated or we're over anxious or we're over excited. It's like, go and get yourself back to a ready space. So some examples here when it comes to our break cards. So we've got just a regular break card. Here it might be a 10-minute break card. A break card might have exactly how many minutes there are to use in that break space. And they also have time for break. Now, I start out with using breaks because it's really one of the most helpful tools when it comes to our kids that are escaping frustration. They're avoiding. This is going to become a great tool. And you can see on this break card, I allow them to know exactly what they could do during that break. It doesn't matter what you decide to use as a break cue or allows them to know it. what they can do in order to access a break. It could be, they could use a symbol, they could use a hand selection, they could do whatever they want in that area. But what's key when we set up a calming space for all of our students, that there's some key elements that are within that space. But getting them to that space is the place I want to talk to right now, because we want to make sure when we teach our students that they can choose to take a break, that it's a choice to help self-regulate them. It's a choice that they're making to better themselves, better their well-being, and manage their emotions. And that we want this to be an option. We don't want this to be punishment. This isn't timeout. This isn't, oh, look at you, you're not doing what you're supposed to do, go take a break. That's punishment. And a student's going to feel punitive measures when you talk to them like that. So when you establish break, you want them to know, wow, this is a good thing to use. Everybody should utilize it at some period of time within their educational time with you, to help calm them down, because we all get frustrated, we all get angry, we all get anxious, we all have different things like that occur. So we might want to say, hey, I see that you're getting really, really frustrated with that math. This would be a great time to use the calm down space over there, the cool down space. Would you like to go to the cool down space now, or would you like to go a little later? You could go to the cool down space now, or you could take some cool down time at your desk. What do you need? I'm here for you. So there's a very difference between go take a break and, hey, I see, a break might be really awesome for you right now. What do you think? You think that could be something that you might want to use? Or, hey, here's a, squeezy ball. Would that be better for you at your desk? Very different. So make sure when you're establishing a break area that it's not a timeout, that it is a productive space that is for them. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few seconds. So what is self-regulation skills? So self-regulation can be defined in various ways. In the most basic sense, it involves controlling one's behavior, emotions, and thoughts in the pursuit for long-term goals. So most specifically, emotional self-regulation refers to the ability to manage disruptive emotions and impulses that we might have. And it's also about, making someone aware when it's happening so that they can control it in themselves. And then when students are self-regulated and they have good skills, they take increasing control over their own thoughts, their feelings, their actions, skills that are critical for success in school and life. So we want to make sure that, that they're aware that this is going, when they become more aware of their self-regulation skills and when they improve their self-regulation skills, it is a place that they're going to improve in their whole entire life. It's a skill that we need. It's like learning how to ride a bike. You never forget. So some of the things that we want to talk about or that we want to focus on are following rules and directions, setting goals and carrying out plans to achieve these goals, organizing and managing time and materials, using strategies and resources, staying on task, working independently, and completing tasks. Wouldn't that be nice? And asking for help when needed. All of these are so needed skills when it comes to life. So how do we go about teaching self-regulation skills with success? Well, the same techniques that teachers use to develop reading and math skills can be used to help students learn self-regulation skills. It has to be taught specifically and implicitly. I'm not going to get that word today, so I'm not going to try it. So anyway, you're going to arrange your classroom to promote more student independence and use of space and materials. You want to clearly post and explain and teach classroom rules and routines. Add visuals such as labels, list of steps, or reminders. So we want to also teach the children to highlight, or the adults to color code important information that they might need. So it's encompassing not just behavioral stuff, it's also organizational and executive functioning skills. We all need to be taught these things. They don't just come naturally. Incorporate technology or other organizational tools to help students organize themselves. Encourage students to use an assignment calendar and break down large assignments, and provide students with frequent guided practice and offer positive feedback. All these things are going to be things that are needed to be taught for successful self-regulation skills. So like everywhere, we have the green slide that's going to work on self-regulation. And we have a variety of different resources for you to look at this particular time or at the end of the video. So teaching students and families to improve self-regulation skills is an important goal for success. So here's a bunch of information here that talks about calm rooms, peace corners, common kits, just different types of resources for you. Now, down here, this is such a great idea, and I'm in the process of creating one for Vista Unified School District, but this one is from another school district, and I'll tell you, it's amazing. So basically, it's a website of all different calming strategies, visual, sound, exercising, doing like thinking puzzles. It encompasses everything. It's awesome. So, I mean, I imagine this as being part of people's calming corners, and they can say, hey, go on to this website and, you know, you got 5 minutes to use some of these calming activities. It's fabulous. Check it out. And hopefully we'll have ours soon. Or by the time you see this, we will have it. So here's a little example of a calming corner. And you'll see there's visuals about the zones of regulation. How are people feeling? Am I in the blue zone, in the green zone, the yellow zone, the red zone? It's a comfy area. There's books, there's activities. This little box here has got, maybe it has calming strategy cards, exercise cards, breathing cards. It has maybe some manipulatives to squeeze, something like little puzzles to get your mind off of whatever's happening at that moment. It's most likely a timer, because you always want to teach your students to use timers here. We don't want them to stay. We want them there for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. But always give them an opportunity to go a second time if they if they're not ready yet to come back. But we don't want children to abuse these corners either. You'll get a couple that might do it to avoid work. You make sure that you only allow them 1 a day, or 1 every 2 days, or 5 in a week, or whatever it is that you decide for that student. So this, again, every room should have some sort of a place. And if you are moving from one space to another space, you could put some of these visuals on one of those poster boards and bring that from place to place to place, and have a little calming corner box that you take along with you to make it very simple and mobile. So we also have to teach students to regulate their emotions. Our emotions are the biggest part of our self-regulation, of our social emotional learning. We need to know about our emotions, and we need to know that they're okay to have. I've gone into many classrooms, and I'll say to students, you know, who here feels that they have the right to be angry? And the students don't raise their hands. And I said, you know, we all have the right to be angry. We all have the right to feel all of these emotions. We just don't have the right to act them out towards others in an inappropriate way that's going to hurt or harm another person. we need to take responsibility for our emotions, and we have to act in a respectful way. We need to use calm words. We need to use calm talking. We need to think about how it's going to affect the other person when we react with our emotions. So we teach the students about their emotions, and we teach them the strategies. So if you see down here, we could teach emotions all day long, but if we don't teach what could we do to manage our emotions, to calm ourselves down when we're feeling very angry or very anxious, well, then they're just words and they're just pictures of emotions, because we need to teach the strategies on how to calm down. Hey, breathe with me. We're going to count to 10 and breathe in between each number. When you go get a drink of water, you're going to make sure that you think happy, calm thoughts while you're getting the water. While you're squeezing the fidget 10 times, you're also going to think about, how can I come back to the room in a calm space? I'm thinking good thoughts about what's going to happen next. I'm going to use my tense and release to calm myself down. And I'm going to utilize my break area. So all these things they could do right there in that space. They don't have to let anybody know what's going on, but they are regulating themselves. It's very important to teach the students how to calm themselves down. It's also very important to teach the students how to problem solve. A lot of our kids, their biggest problem is that they just don't know how to problem solve. So maybe we have some visuals, and these are just a couple of visuals. One's for teens and one's for younger students, maybe up until like middle school, elementary school. So it's like a little problem solving wheel. What can I do? So if they're having any problem with the students, maybe this wheel will give them a reminder of what they could go about telling others, or taking those steps in order to problem solve it on their own. So those are always helpful. And then in working with our teens, there's a step-by-step on how a teen can problem solve, and giving them certain strategies. So look in that and take a look at that in your PowerPoint presentation. So what is self-management skills? So the critical elements of self-management include setting goals, monitoring behavior, and evaluating progress. Examples of self-management include self-monitoring, self-evaluation, and self-reinforcement. So such skills as problem solving, resisting stress, communicating clearly, managing time, strengthening memory, and exercising are often key examples of self-management skills. And you could see again, all of these skills kind of overlap. When we talk about social emotional learning, we are talking about this. When we're talking about self-regulating skills, we're also talking about self-management skills. They're all within the same space. There's a big umbrella, and they're all interchangeable. So the key areas to focus on for self-management are these down here. We've got time management, motivation, goal setting, future life, procrastinating, and stress. These are going to be the key things to look at. You might be wondering, what does future life mean? Well, kids really need to understand that the choices that they make in 5th grade and 4th grade will affect how they make decisions in high school and in college. That if they learn how to take care of themselves and manage themselves in an appropriate way and a productive way when they're younger, they are going to have such incredibly great skills when they're older. Their future self will become a better self by what they learn today. So it's really key to really focus on that with the students, that they are that's their key to their success. So if they're not doing work, or if they're not motivated, hey, this is going to affect you when you're older, and we want to see you super successful. And this is the reason why we're focusing on these things. And it's the reason why we should always focus on these things with our students. So self-management. You can see here, there's a self-management tool. Right here is a picture. I've got my schedule, and I'm checking in on all of these behavioral issues that I need to focus on. Am I doing the things I'm supposed to be doing? Well, now I'm going to get some points for it, and I am going to unlock some sort of reinforcer for myself, or kudos, or my family's going to be proud of me. I'm going to be proud of myself, whatever it might be. Maybe I get, earn some time off of that hard work that I keep trying to avoid in the first place. So teaching self-management skills helps promote awareness and monitoring one's own behavior. Just being aware allows for growth. So just bringing it to our students or to our attention, checking on our own behavior really makes a difference, because if I'm going to keep, if something's a problem for somebody and I keep checking in on it all the time, I'm going to naturally improve, because it's going to mean something to me to do it better or to be better, because it's blaring. It's right there in my face. The following links will help you create a behavior checklist for students to monitor their own behavior. So this Intervention Central, create your own behavior checklist, this one right here. If you go in there, they've got like all these they're already pre-done for you, and you can choose which ones you want from them, and then it creates a little checklist for you. So check that out. And then we have a self-management folder. There's a few items in there for you to check out too that maybe you could use or manipulate. And if just text me, email me, say, hey, we need some more self-management tools, and we've got a whole lot of them. We can help out. Here is a great self-management strategy that I found. It's called the 60-second strategy. You could watch it. It's a 60-second cue. So basically, during a large group instruction, or you have a lot of students in one area, the teacher would teach that I'll put a teacher cue up on the board, and I'll have some numbers next to it. And if you need my assistance, please put your name up on that board, and then I'm going to come help you in the order that I'm helping. So now students promoting self-advocacy skills. They're able to communicate that they need help in a proper way, instead of maybe some other behavior that they might do, teacher, or, hey, you, I'm over here. Or maybe they're getting frustrated because you're not paying attention to them, or you haven't seen them. This is a space where a teacher can manage with their students. Hey, I see all I have to do is look at that board, and then I'll see names. I don't have to look around the room to see if all 36 students are focusing. So it's a good way. So take that, look at that, and that's a great little strategy to help with self-management skills. And then self-monitoring and self-checking, again, all interchangeable words. So I have a video here for you to watch. It'll talk specifically about self-monitoring and self-checking. And the way to develop a self-monitoring system is that you need to define the behavior that you're targeting for self-monitor. That's the first thing. What's the problem area that needs to be focused on? You need to choose a method for recording self-monitoring data. Am I putting just a day on a checklist? Am I doing a self-and-match where a teacher is monitoring me, I'm monitoring myself, and then I have to kind of rate both of us? Am I doing a weekly check-in? Am I checking in, when it comes to self-monitoring schedule, which is the next thing? Am I checking in a few times a day with my teacher? Am I just doing it on my own? once every at the end of every day? Am I monitoring myself at the end of the week on how I did during the entire week? So you got to figure out all of those things. Decide on a monitoring cue. So how am I going to let the student know, hey, it's your time to monitor yourself? Choose a rewards that are successful for behavior change. What is the student going to work towards? What's their goal that they're going to work towards in order to be proud of themselves, to achieve it? Maybe sometimes parents are involved. Maybe there's a reward system that's involved in it. Maybe there's just, they make a personal goal at the beginning of the week, and just achieving that goal could be reinforcement enough for them. So you just have to like figure that one out. And then conduct periodic accuracy checks. If you got a kid that's just checking yes, 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 and isn't really figuring it out, you might want to think, how can I build in some accuracy checks here? So maybe randomly you say that you're going to monitor their behavior at the same time they're monitoring their behavior to see if you guys have the same accuracy. Or you might put reminder systems, like next to certain ones, I might have 2 reminders, and teach the student if the reminders are filled in, they're an automatic no for that particular checkoff. So you might have to do something like that. And then, of course, you always got to fade the self-monitoring plan. So once they're starting to get success with knowing about their behavior has decreased because the fact that they're just aware of it. And we're going to start fading that. Maybe they only check in once every week. Maybe they only check in once a month, whatever it might be. And then, of course, at the very bottom here at the Intervention Central, there is a link for the self-monitoring there. So please check out that area. And that's what I've got today. So I hope you've learned a little bit about social emotional learning. I know that when you go look at the other videos, this one might be a little longer than most, but there's a lot of information to be learned here. And I also know it's our district is really focusing on social emotional learning this year and for professional development. So please take some time and really learn about how you can make a difference in the students' lives, how you can enrich this area along with all the other areas that you've already been enriching. Take care.